Willow was still talking to Michael in the Quartermain solarium. After asking to see the kids again, she stopped herself and explained that she had come to apologize, not to make demands. He was astonished to hear her acknowledge she was utterly mistaken about Drew. Michael admitted that her feelings for Drew were genuine and expressed regret that Drew was not genuine with her. Willow acknowledged that she based her connection with Drew on her belief that he was honest. She stated she trusted him more than anyone else and followed his advice. When she voiced her disbelief at how stupid she was, Michael told her Drew controlled her in more ways than she realized. He went on to tell her that he had never told anyone not to allow her visit him in Germany, and that he would have delighted to meet her and hear about the kids. Willow took a minute to realize it was Drew who had blocked her from seeing Michael that day. They both felt that if they had been able to communicate then, they would have been able to determine what was best for their children. Willow tried to take advantage of the situation by mentioning that they were now in the same room, and asking if they could figure out what to do about the kids together. Michael stated it was too late to resolve things between them because the court was now involved. Willow's cool composure faded as he stated unequivocally that he intended to fulfill the court's orders. She accused him of just obeying the court's regulations to get what he wanted. As she begged him again, he revealed that he did not want the kids to see her. Before hearing him out, she told him he got what he wanted and asked how long he would punish her. He stated that he was not punishing her, but rather attempting to do what was best for his children, and that she was not suitable for them at the time. Willow continued to spiral further, but Michael attempted to explain that she was not thinking like a parent right now, and needed time to recover from her betrayal. She didn't listen and told him she'd never forget how he sent her away when she was only pleading to see her children. It was the morning rush at Anna's apartment. She was on the phone as Emma searched for her charger under the couch cushions and Gio prepared coffee and toast. As Emma and Joe's talk interfered with Anna's phone call, Outback emerged with her lease, requesting to be walked. Anna, who had been living on her own for years, became flustered and informed them that they needed to hold a house meeting tonight as well as plan a walking schedule in the Outback. Emma indicated she'd be assisting Professor Dalton, which worried Anna. Dante approached as Gio opened the door to leave. They had a brief and awkward talk before Gio and Emma departed. Anna tried to make Dante feel better by assuring him that he and Gio shared many similarities. They talked briefly about Gio and then Rocco. He informed her that Rocco discovered Britt and contacted Liesel. Worried, he told Anna that Rocco was just looking at us differently, and there is this level of uncertainty that's never existed before. Between Rocco and Gio, Dante felt he had enough uncertainty. They moved on to discuss Dalton. Dante discovered that the woman Joss placed the tracker on was driven to the airport by a Metro Court car, and Anna confirmed that Dalton was also staying at the Metro Court. Anna provided Dante with background information about Emma getting expelled out of her prior institution for breaking into Dalton's lab, and the two collaborated to piece everything together. Finally, Anna expressed concern that Emma would put herself in a situation from which she would be unable to escape. Dante promised to do anything he could to help. Aunt Stella came to see Curtis at his Aurora office. She wanted to know why Trina and Kai split up, but Curtis insisted he was staying out of it. Stella stated that she would try to respect their privacy, but that splitting up was a terrible mistake on both of their sides. Curtis told her there was no infidelity involved, but Trina and Kai disagreed on an essential point. Aunt Stella, as usual, wanted to intercede and do a little repair matchmaking. They left for the Metro Court pool. Drew discovered at Elizabeth's house that Curtis had told Willow the truth about him and Nina sleeping together. Drew stated that his primary objective was to reconcile Willow and her children. Elizabeth caught him off guard when she suggested that the most helpful thing he could do was leave Willow alone. Jason knocked on the door. Drew immediately assumed Jason was following him and trying to prevent him from meeting Willow, but he was mistaken. When Drew stated for the millionth time that he was only trying to help Willow, Jason said, "Willow is being separated from Wiley and Amelia because you torn her family apart. And now she's left to pick up the pieces of a life you ruined." After Drew left, Jason begged Elizabeth for a favor. He wanted to review the General Hospital records, which documented the placement of dead from the morgue. He didn't tell her about Britt, but he assured it had nothing to do with Sonny's business and that no one would know she helped him. She opened the database on her computer and departed since she had laundry to do. On January 4, 23, Jason discovered Britt had been ruled deceased, and her body was released to Lawrence Mortuary. Elizabeth reappeared after he was finished. Before he went, he asked if she had received a postcard from Jake, who was supposedly having a wonderful time in Lisbon with Aiden and Lucky. Willow returned and claimed she went to meet Michael despite saying she was going for a walk. She knew Rick was right. She needed to prove to the world that she was stable, strong, and a good mother, and she stated, "I have to make it so that no one can ever take my children away from me again." Jocelyn and Vaughn were continuing their ruse as a couple at the Metro Court pool. Vaughn was applying sunscreen to her back as she filled him in on Greta, and the courier's tracker signal vanished for 3 hours while at the Five Poppies resort. Carly went in, having had a conversation with Anna the day before, and was wary of Vaughn. She interrupted their conversation to inform Joss that she needed to talk in her office. Emma and Gio arrived after Joss and Carly had departed. When Emma released Outback from her leash, the dog raced straight to Vaughn, whom Emma did not want to talk to. Vaughn brought the Outback to her. He apologized for what occurred to Jocelyn, but it was clear that it did not hurt her at all. Joss returned to the pool and greeted Gio and Emma. Gio questioned Emma's behavior toward Vaughn and Joss after she had walked away. She informed him she was attempting to avoid Vaughn because she had stolen his facilities master key. Joss told Vaughn about Anna's conversation with her mother and believed it was only a matter of time until she exposed him. Vaughn assumed Brennan felt the same way, so he contacted to announce he was pulling them out of the investigation. Drew approached Martin at a windowside table. Drew was angrily telling Martin that Curtis had told Willow the truth when he noticed Curtis and Stella walk in. After they sat, Curtis noticed Drew staring at him. Drew told Martin that he never expected Curtis to ruin Willow just to get back at him. Stella spotted Drew and Curtis staring at each other as she spoke. Drew interrupted her while she was discussing the wedding rumors she had heard, wanting to speak with Curtis. Stella went to chat with Martin while they were talking. Drew feigned to be unaware that Curtis had informed Willow the truth and expressed his desire to call a truce. Curtis requested the blackmail evidence Drew had on Portia, and Drew agreed to consider it once they were no longer at odds. They both stated that they would not be the ones to disrupt the calm. Curtis and Drew returned to his table to retrieve his Aunt Stella. Martin thanked Stella again for her assistance at the hospital, and she reminded him to submit his 1040. Drew inquired about Martin's conversation after Curtis and Stella had left. Martin, naively, boasted about how deftly Stella maneuvered a complicated system to get him coverage, unaware that Drew was looking for his next opportunity to exert control over Curtis. Drew told Martin he was playing a long game with Curtis. Curtis returned to their own table and told Stella he thought he and Drew had reached an agreement. Joss showed confusion at her mother's worry for Vaughn when in Carly's office. Carly admitted she knew nothing about him and asked Jocelyn how well she knew him. Joss was surprised and defensive because Carly had never policed her dating choices. After Carly informed her that she had spoken with Anna, Joss rejected everything, claiming Anna only spoke to her because Emma's feelings were wounded. When Carly expressed her disgust with Vaughn pitting Joss and Emma against each other, Joss informed her that Emma had clearly gone after him to get back at her, and she was not exclusive with Vaughn anyhow. Carly asked her if she was satisfied with the situationship, or if she wanted anything more. Joss assured her she didn't want anything else and that Anna was getting into her thoughts. Carly reassured her that she could come to her with anything, and they hugged. After Joss left, a distraught Michael arrived to inform his mother about Willow's attempt to visit the children again. He claimed he saw the old Willow for a brief while, but she reverted to an illogical, desperate person when she realized she wouldn't get her way. He questioned when it would be safe for her to be around the children again. After leaving Elizabeth's, Jason went to the Lawrence mortuary. The woman at the morgue explained that Liesl picked up Britt's ashes on January 12, 2023, but discovered what she thought was an error on the form. She informed Jason that the portion confirming the cremation was not actually filled out. In the wedding reception area, Liesl was finishing her triple schnapps and laughing merrily as Drew was confronted about sleeping with Nina. Jason got right to the topic, telling her he thought he spotted Britt. Heading into her second triple schnapps, Liesl stated that she saw Britta all the time, but this did not imply that she saw her. Jason attempted to explain that he thought he physically saw her, but Liesel believed it was only his subconscious hunting for her. Jason went on to ask Liesel if she had buried Britt elsewhere. Instead of responding, she reminisced on Jason's beneficial influence on Britta, claiming she became more confident in herself, at ease, cheerful and trustworthy. She eventually admitted that she believed Britta could have been happy with him if he had not abandoned her for Carly. He expressed his earnest apologies for hurting Britt, but Liesel stated that because he saved her life and nearly died in the process, there were no hard feelings. She had a flashback to holding Britta as she died after being cut with the poison hook. Not wanting to upset Liesel, Jason stated they didn't have to talk about Britt anymore, but she said she liked remembering her and invited him to talk about Britta with her at any moment. Before he volunteered to escort her to her room, Liesel expressed her amazement that Britta had chosen to be cremated rather than donate her corpse for Huntington's disease research. After leaving Liesel in her room, Jason returned to the reception area to retrieve her purse. He flashed back to seeing Britt at the airport. He remembers seeing flowers on her suitcase and Googled Dubrovnik Hotel flowers on his phone. The Five Poppies Resort in Dalmatia came out on top of the search. Britt arrived at the Five Poppies Resort in Dubrovnik and entered her room. After settling in, she started going through the files in Dalton's rucksack. She didn't seem thrilled with the contents and grumbled, "What is he paying him for?" Later, as Britt was reading about Tracy's imprisonment at the nurses' ball, Tomas knocked on the door. Tomas was a masseuse sent by Britt's mysterious boss, who thought she needed a stress reliever. Later, as Britt was enjoying the massage, Tomas appeared to offer something extra to make her feel even better. She told him not tonight, became furious, and ordered him to go. Britt gave herself an unknown medicine shot in the stomach while getting ready for bed. She lay down and longingly said, "Good night, Mutter," before closing her eyes to sleep. Willow stood at Carly's door distraught, wanting to see her children. Willow called for Wiley and informed him that his mother was present. Carly stopped her from walking beyond the foyer, telling her she'd scare Wiley in her current state. Michael approached as Willow yelled for Wiley again. Willow urgently assured Michael that everything was okay since she had done what he wanted by not marrying Drew, and now he had to let her see her children. He claimed her emotional behavior was the problem just now, and Wiley shouldn't see her like that. Carly hurried to meet Wiley as he descended the stairs, as Michael hustled Willow out the door. Willow sobbed as she pleaded to see the kids, but Michael told her he had to protect them from seeing her out of control, and that she needed to go home and clean herself up. She claimed that he got what he wanted because she was wrong about Drew and he was correct, and that now that she and Drew were done, everything changed. She went even further, passionately saying, "And if that's not enough, I'll come back to you." Michael told her that while he would have liked to hear her speak those things, it was too late now, and she couldn't just snap her fingers and undo everything. She became very distressed and stated that she would do whatever he desired. He stated there was nothing they could do but obey the order Judge Heron had made for them, but she couldn't bear the notion of him being in full custody and her not having any visitation rights. Finally, he threatened to have her removed off the property if she refused to leave. Willow sank to her knees in front of the window, crying as she saw Michael and Carly comfort Wiley. Elizabeth and Rick discovered a stunned Willow sitting and rocking in front of Carly's door. Willow requested that she speak with Michael, but Elizabeth advised her against it. Elizabeth asked her to think about Wiley and Amelia right now, and how seeing her unhappy might worry them. Trying to console her, Elizabeth said she was going to take Willow home so she could get some sleep and offered to bring her back to Carly's in the morning if Willow felt it was the appropriate thing. Rick assisted Elizabeth in lifting Willow to her feet, after which she realized she had nowhere to stay. Inside, Michael and Carly comforted Wiley and explained that his mother was angry because she did not marry Uncle Drew. They reassured him and reminded him of his mother's and their affection for him. After putting Wiley to bed, Michael told Carly about Willow's decision not to go through with the wedding after discovering Drew and Nina had slept together. Carly was unhappy that Nina couldn't have averted so much of the damage. When she asked where Michael's head was, he claimed he planned to strictly adhere to the judge's judgment so as not to jeopardize his custody. Willow's desperation troubled and scared him, and he wondered if he'd ever be able to trust her near the children again. Elizabeth and Rick returned Willow to her residence. Willow sat on the couch, perplexed by Michael's refusal to let her see Wiley. Elizabeth eventually gave Willow medication to help her sleep, assured her that she was safe, and told her she could stay as long as she needed to work things out. Willow claimed she had already thought everything out since, now that she and Michael were on the same side, she would be able to see her children again. Nina asked Portia and Curtis to meet her at the Metro Court pool. Unaware that Curtis had informed Willow the truth, she told them that they deserved to know Willow and Drew were no longer together. Crying, she told them that she and Willow were also finished, and that she believed she had lost her daughter forever. They sat so Nina could tell them everything, and Curtis admitted that he was the one who gave Willow the truth. He said that it was his last-ditch attempt to rescue Portia's medical career, and apologized for injuring her in the process. Nina realized Curtis did the right thing by forcing Willow to face reality. She wasn't sure if she and Willow would ever be able to reconcile, but she believed that if Willow was separated from Drew, the devastation would be worthwhile. Nina continued to ponder on Willow's grief, saying she had the one piece of information that could have turned Willow away from Drew, but she let her selfishness and dread of losing her daughter prevent her from taking the necessary action. Portia tried to console Nina by suggesting Willow might yet come around. Curtis was apprehensive that Willow may give Drew another chance. He claimed Drew's ego was too great to let Willow go without a battle. He went on to say that Drew sees himself as Willow's champion, and exploits her to justify his behavior. Without Willow, Drew will be forced to confront the person he has become. Drew drove Martin to the Quartermaines. Drew climbed over the wall to get onto the property, determined to find Willow. Meanwhile, inside, Tracy was searching a frightened Cody's back for the mole Molly had mentioned, but all she found was a freckle. Drew and Martin burst through the door unexpectedly. When Drew inquired where Willow was, Tracy replied, "What, you've already misplaced your bride?" Tracy and Cody amusingly tag-teamed Drew, mocking him for being abandoned at the altar. Yuri entered and apologized for being unable to stop Drew and Martin after they climbed over the wall. Drew didn't believe Willow wasn't present. Tracy gloated about Drew's crimes finally coming back to haunt him, while Drew claimed he fell in love with Willow and blamed Nina for telling her about them. Drew continued to claim that all he wanted was to make Willow happy, and was tired of the continual criticism. He believed he could still make Willow happy if he had the opportunity to explain, but Cody instructed him to leave the poor woman alone. Drew rushed upstairs to find Willow, but she was not there. Martin questioned Yuri in the living room, hoping to learn more about Monica's condition and any guests she had. Yuri told Martin that Dr. Monica was a remarkable woman who was beloved by many. Martin was astonished when Yuri suggested he and Monica bonded over their commonalities. Martin asked Monica if she had informed him about her past before the Quartermaines, saying, "We both come far from our meager beginnings." However, Tracy interrupted him by requesting Yuri's assistance in throwing Drew and Martin out. Outside, Drew informed Martin that he was all Willow had left and that he needed to get her back. Molly arrived at Alexis' house when Alexis and Christina were talking about the failed wedding and Drew and Nina's affair. Molly was still flustered and told Christina that she was correct. "Cody Bell is every bit the hustler you said he was." She went on to describe her contact with him at the pool and felt that, thanks to Christina, she would never longer fall for Cody's charms. Alexis inquired about Molly's comments on Cody after she had gone upstairs. Christina defended herself, saying she mostly told the truth about Cody, but she couldn't stop feeling bad about it. As they discussed the seduction plot, Alexis shared her concerns about Molly being affected by it. On the other hand, she said that Ava requested to meet with her alone at the wedding, and Rick couldn't take his gaze away from Elizabeth. Christina struggled to overcome the guilt of potentially hurting or disappointing Molly, and Alexis disliked discouraging Molly from the one man she had been interested in since TJ. Nonetheless, Christina stated that Molly deserved far more than Cody, and that she will overcome him in due time. Molly sat at her desk, looking over her character notes for her third book. The hero's description matched Cody's attributes. Still unhappy, she crossed out hero and typed dumb sidekick instead. When she started writing the new adjectives for her book's hero, they fit TJ's qualities.